hills of Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
California. What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Thursday, May 26th. LA Galaxy coming off a 3-1 victory over LAFC in the U.S. Open Cup. It was dominant. It could have been worse for LAFC. It could have been better for the LA Galaxy. It was something nobody expected, and yet nobody is surprised. I don't know. We're gonna talk about it. I don't even know how to explain it. I tried explaining it last night. I don't know that I can explain it tonight. We're gonna talk about it, then get you ready for the game against Austin coming up on Sunday. And just a reminder, I have 1 foot already on vacation door, so don't expect me to be paying attention tonight. I'm probably just gonna let Sophie take over everything, and sit back and pack and do something like that. So to help me do that, she's back. It's Miss Sophie, the Cannon Nicolaou. So how are you doing?
Good juju is back, baby. That's all I can say.
That's awesome. I mean, you said you wanted to take full credit for the LA Galaxy winning because you were gone. You went across the pond. You went back to the motherland, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were hanging out in jolly old England,
Yes.
and now you're back, and you did it. This was you, right?
It was. I even shared a video on Twitter last night. I just so happened, by the way, I'd like to add that when the first goal went in, it was when I decided to go on one of my walkabouts, and I ended up next to the riot squad. And before I knew it, I was 5 rows forward, and the first goal had gone in. And I was like, should I leave now? No, I'll just hang out here a little while longer, take some more ambiance shots.
Right.
And before you knew it, Chicharito buried the second. And then I was like, my work here is done.
You're like,
back to the press box.
I can leave. I can go. By the way, $5 super chat to start things off. What the says, if we donate enough to the super chat, can the Galaxy play like that every game? I mean, I've heard that if we reach $10,000, they will indeed win every game. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's true. Let's see what happens, right? I mean, why not? Why not? We'll see.
Yeah. I'd like to say I'm wearing sunglasses not because I'm trying to be LA cool. It's because the jet lag has truly set in. And I'm absolutely knackered. And I know you feel the same because everyone, just so you know how hard this man works, he did the game, he worked during the day, did the game, did the presser. By the time he got home and had his Dr. Pepper, it was 2 a.m. in the morning.
I had to stop at McDonald's too, because
I was so tempted.
And by the way, there should be a warning if you're going to McDonald's at 11:30, because that's about what time I probably pulled up there. The 405 was closed southbound, so I had to go back past Disneyland. So I knew. So it only took me 37 minutes to get home. It wasn't a big deal. But I see this long line at McDonald's, and I'm like, well, dude, that's going to go quick because it's McDonald's, right? It won't take that long. If you see a long line at 11:30 at night, it's probably not because they're going quick. That's the whole thing. So I think I sat in the drive-thru for 20-25 minutes in order to get my nuggets and my Dr. Pepper and go home and sit and eat a little bit and then try to decompress from everything that I saw and sort of waiting for notes and quotes that kind of didn't come fast enough, which they never do. Not a big surprise. It's not a huge deal. But I was like, I'm going to bed eventually. But it was 1:30 by the time I got in bed, and it was another half hour probably before I fell asleep at 2. So yeah, 2 and then up at
6
5:50.
or 9 nuggets.
I always get the 10-piece nugget. It's a number 5, right?
Oh, in
number
England,
5
it's
is
6 or 9. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I'm a.
You get that with sweet and sour sauce.
So
Are you a barbecue guy?
So I'm going to tell you something. I don't usually use sauce. If I'm sitting somewhere, I will.
Excuse me.
If I'm sitting, but if I'm in the car, I don't use sauce because it's messy, and that's most of the time I eat nuggets is whenever I am in the car. So
you got to put it where the drink container is, right in there.
I get stuff all over me. It is. So there's another part of this that I should also point out. Whenever I was in college, I got used to certain things that are probably not normal. Like I can drink Dr. Peppers when they're warm, right? Like it doesn't bother me at all. I can have a warm Dr. Pepper. People are like, oh, it's not cold. I'm like, I don't care. Doesn't bother me at all. Do you know why? Because in college, I wouldn't put them in the fridge because if I put them in the fridge, my roommates would drink them. So I just left them out and I would drink them warm, right?
So
yes.
You're a bit of a hot mess, just like Kevin Cabral.
Hey, we both have our successes here and there. I think, and we said this. I want to sort of go through this and say that on Monday I called this, but the theory I was working on was very much a leap of faith on my part. And this leap of faith involves current form, okay? Mm-hmm. Current form means nothing to the LA Galaxy whenever they play LAFC. I don't care. I don't care if they've won 20 games in a row or they've lost 20 games in a row. Means nothing, right? Yeah. And I was going off of that. And I was talking to a Galaxy employee after the Houston game, and I said this on the show. They said, well, how do you think this is going to affect this team? It's going to have no effect whatsoever. And they're like, don't you think they're going to play harder or something like that? Maybe there's a reaction to that. And Greg Vanney mentioned that maybe that this game, he said in his mind, was a reaction to the Houston game, was a reaction to the Dallas game, right? No, it wasn't. All right, this is just simply the fact the LA Galaxy were playing LAFC at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson. Oh my.
Yeah.
But
thank God it was there.
It is big, bad Carson to LAFC. The mental block that team has whenever they come into I don't know what they think of this state. It's not like the stadium is unfriendly. All right. I mean, Houston and Dallas came in and thought it was just fine, Sophie. Right? It's nuts though that form means nothing and that LAFC is that scared of playing in that stadium. It's craziness. It's voodoo.
It's I think we have to partly thank the legend that is Zlatan.
The ghost of Zlatan, yes.
I think the intimidation started. I mean, we'll never forget that first game and his goal. And that seeps in real deep with your rival. And they so badly want to win, the big one. It's all well winning the Supporters' Shield. And, of course, that's a good achievement. But everyone wants to lift MLS Cup. That's the deal. That's how you're measured. And LA Galaxy has 5 stars on the shirt and LAFC has 0 right now. And there is a mental block when they come to Carson. It's unreal. And I thought that might change under a new manager because Bob Bradley had this bravado about him. And I think that seeped into his team a little bit too much where they'd have this overly confident vibe about them. And Steve Trondolo, I felt maybe would adjust that. But here we go again. It is just one of those things in football that you cannot explain, but it just comes to be. And my goodness, for LA Galaxy fans, I mean, they were having a blast last night. It was unreal.
It was quite the celebration, and it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch Galaxy soccer, which is something you haven't been able to say over any sort of real long stretch. I will say that this year, and I will continue to say this, 2022, this team is better than they were last year. You can see the ability to, but now what we have seen, and this is dangerous, what we have seen is the absolute high bar in which the LA Galaxy can play. We know now they can play this well. We know they can defend this well. I'm going to tell you something, and I think that LAFC fans will absolutely disagree with me, and I could care less. LAFC did not play poorly. The LA Galaxy absolutely strangled them to death. There was no room to go. There was no place to go. I mean, LAFC ends up with 53% of this possession, and they had like 1 shot on goal or 2 shots on goal total the entire game. This was the LA Galaxy defense that we've sort of been like, yes, when they play together as a team, when you're not overcommitting on the wings, when you're staying back and staying home in the right positions, when Mark Delgado and Ryan Raveloson are in the center, controlling the center of the field, this LA Galaxy team strangles other teams. They did it to Austin in Austin, and everybody said that was an ugly game. And it was an ugly game because they didn't have the transitions that this game had. But you saw it against LAFC. They strangled them. That was one team exerting itself on another team.
That's really well put. And I think the other thing that they did is not only did they play as a cohesive 11 unit, but exactly what you're saying. Each area played as a unit. The defense played like a unit. The midfield played like a unit. The forward line played like a unit. And that all came together as one 11 unit. And that was, I think, the magical thing about their performance last night. I agree with you, and seeing it from the view that we have in the press box too. They completely blocked all the channels. LAFC are so dangerous on the counter, and the way they break through the middle, you know, they were nullified in every single area. They had no room then to try and, you know, galvanize their movement on the flanks once that middle is nullified. When they took their chances, the defense stood tall. There was some phenomenal blocks last night, and it was just one of those games where everything came together and everyone did their job in their position. I don't think there was a weak link in that team last night, and I think it's been a very long time since you can say that about LA Galaxy.
The crazy thing is, even Efrain Alvarez, who has been stinking up the joint as of late, came on and absolutely played his position perfectly and dominated in that position and created chances. It was everything you have ever wanted Efrain Alvarez to be. He was against LAFC. He was the provider. He was drawing people out of position. He was drawing them into spaces and then passing in behind those spaces. There were chance creation over and over again, and then the counterattack. Scott French said something after the game, and I disagreed with him on one point, but he brought up a good it's a good discussion.
You and Scott French disagree?
I mean, yeah, it only happens every game. Which was, he said, well, we know the Galaxy can score in space now. He goes, but can they create the space? And I said, they created the space on the third goal. I go, and he goes, well, they
and
were
the
more.
Second goal.
And really, I mean, the idea here is
great.
What Scott's saying is that on the counterattack, when LAFC would overcommit and whenever they could get stretched, that Cabral and Grandsir could then stretch that out and exploit the space that LAFC was getting them. A lot of teams don't give the LA Galaxy that space, but we saw the Galaxy create that third goal, and that third goal comes not from space. That third goal comes from creativity, from movement, from Cabral's back heel over to Edwards on the overlap, and Edwards' pass inside to Joveljic, and Joveljic's ability to tap that to the back post. It's so pretty. It's so perfect, exactly the way it's supposed to be. And by the way, that's putting away a game, Sophie. When you score the third goal, the game is over. LAFC scoring the consolation goal there, which you don't want to give up, but at the same time, the game was already over. It didn't matter at that point. And if you don't do that, imagine that they didn't score that third goal and that one goal gets back, right? With, what did they score in the 82nd minute?
85th.
No? Yeah, 85th. You're right. In the 85th minute, now there's 10 minutes left because it ended up being 5 minutes of stoppage time, right? There's 10 minutes left for LAFC to try to find a tying goal, and you can't say that doesn't galvanize them. With 85 minutes, knowing they still had to score 2 goals, it was too far of a reach. And that's something the LA Galaxy have not done in the last, under Greg Vanney, certainly. And listen, it goes further back than that, but it's putting games away. It's that third goal that now this game is out of reach. You're not going to get it.
And it was a delicious third goal. It was just
yummy.
Really a fantastic team goal. And here's the other thing about that, right? So the third goal 3 put completely to bed. Then what happened was in the 85th minute, even though LAFC got that goal, LA Galaxy never panicked.
Nope.
And again, that was something really good to see about how the team just stayed in their zones, very calm, everyone doing their job. And Vanney had started making some subs, and whoever came in kind of continued that ethic. It was really impressive to see, for sure. And, to concede in the 85th minute with knowing that there's going to be at least 5 or 6 minutes added, they didn't panic at all.
Let's give a shout out to Patrick, who gave us a $10 super chat. It's for the Nugget Fund, he says, which is always nice. By the way, did you ever notice that? Have you noticed that whenever you buy like nuggets now, and you get nuggets in like a large size combo, that it costs you like $12 now? I was like, it just every once in a while I forget that it didn't used to cost, like, it used to be like $6 or $7. And this is why I'm old. I'm literally, I remember when my nuggets cost me $6. You know, I don't know. Matthew, by the way, gives us a $10 super chat and says, $10 for you to tell me you told me so. I didn't have faith going into yesterday's game. P.S. I listened to the pod the following day on my way to work. Can't wait. Matthew, thank you for that. I will not tell you I told you so, because God only knows what actually happened and what will happen down the stretch on all this. Gave us a $5 super chat, said, loved every part of last night's game except Cabral's extremely short pass to Grandsir on the second goal. Props to Grandsir for hustling to get to it. You can say that however you want. The bottom line is the pass got there, and that Grandsir was able to get it, and the cross to Chicha. And by the way, Chicha has not been finishing. Let's be very clear. Chicha has not been finishing.
It was a great finish.
It was probably one of the hardest finishes he has made this year, and it may have been up there in some of the hardest finishes he's made as an LA Galaxy player.
He had to stretch for that big time.
I didn't think he was going to get it. I was like, he's not getting there.
It does show that he's still agile, even though sometimes he may look like he's totally gassed and he's got nothing left to give.
He's picking up the phone. He's like, Tata, call me, Tata. Let's talk. Talk.
How many more warnings does he need to send to the Mexican coach? But yeah, I think that's a bit harsh considering the game that Cabral had. And Grandsir, wow, what a game he had, by the way. The energy, okay, a few crosses, but I just think to pick holes in this performance would be very unfair. Sometimes you just have to say, no, the team did really well against their fiercest rival.
Yeah, they did. Grandsir, by the way, had his best cross of the year was not the one that he gave to Chicha. It was earlier in that game where the ball was played out and he hit, I think, a left-footed cross. I don't think he came back on his right foot, but he hit a left-footed cross, and it was driven hard towards Chicha, and the LAFC defender ended up getting there in the whole deal. Let's go back to the very beginning of this game, because there are some things that I would like to share with everybody, because there was some shenanigans going on. I'm going to call it shenanigans. I know the story, and I'm going to tell you there were shenanigans going on. And some of the shenanigans going on, as Chris gives us a $5 super chat, some of the shenanigans, thank you, Chris, include the broadcast. Let's talk about the broadcast for a second. If you were watching at home, which I know some of you were, by the way, record U.S. Open crowd at Dignity Health Sports Parks, Sophie, with 24,175. It's basically 1,000 short of a sellout, by the way, like right on the number, almost exactly 1,000 short. So that was great to see. Obviously, a lot of LAFC fans in attendance as well. Like we sort of said, there's going to be a lot of LAFC fans. You couldn't hear them because they were quiet whenever the LA Galaxy scored. And they didn't make much noise after that, outside of chanting "F you" to Raheem Edwards during warm-ups. I don't know. Did they think they were going to get in his head? The dude literally invited it. All they were doing was jacking him up more. Anyway, let's get to the broadcast. $2 super chat, by the way, from Christian. Thank you, Christian. And it was nice to see you at halftime too. Thank you for stopping by. Always there at halftime, by the way. So if you came down at halftime, you saw the group of our group of listeners, and you got to say hi to Sarah. Yeah, they're all great. So Joe Tutino and Max Bretos were on the call together. Which was
pretty cool, by the way. Did you like that?
I didn't hear it. I was, because I was in the press box, so I've heard little bits and pieces of it. I heard some people really enjoyed it, and it's cool to see that they did that.
I'm saying the concept was cool. I don't know about the commentary. I can't vouch for that part, but I like the idea of it.
I will say that it sounded like two play-by-play guys who were trying to do a game, which is usually not the way that you want to do it, right? I've heard bits and pieces of it. I think they're both fine, the whole deal. A lot of people were trying to tell me, by the way, that Max Bretos, it was mostly LAFC fans, so let's be honest, Max Bretos is by far the better announcer. And I was just like, wow, it really shows that you started watching soccer like 2 years ago. That's what it shows. Like it does. If you can't say that about a guy who's been announcing soccer in the United States for 26 plus years, and for the LA Galaxy, basically 26 plus years, Joe Tutino is the voice of the LA Galaxy and is dean of announcers as far as it goes in Los Angeles now, with Vin Scully and Bob Miller bowing out. And so Joe has been doing this for a very long time. So all the respect to Joe and what they did.
They're just backing their guy, aren't they?
They are. And I get it. But just, then when facts come around, facts are hard to deal with, and people, then feelings get hurt because facts don't care about your feelings. So they called this game together. The machinations of this are a couple things. First is there's a company called, and I think it's Vista, and I don't know 100%, but I think it's Vista. Vista does all the production for ESPN for like USL Championship and US Open Cup. Basically, US Soccer through some Soccer United Marketing, which we've talked about many times, but through some sells the rights to the US Open Cup to ESPN. And then ESPN goes, well, we're not going to produce that ourselves. We're going to farm that out, right? Because it's expensive, and we're going to find a relatively low-cost option on all this. And so we're going to have them do all the games for the U.S. Open Cup. So Vista happens to be centered in, I think, Fort Lauderdale, Florida is where it is. So Fort Lauderdale, Florida, if you watch any of the USL Championship games outside of the home games, which is interesting. So they usually take the home announcer for most of the USL Championship games, and they do it from the stadium, but it's still produced by Vista. Well, for US Open Cup games, I guess to save money, they're doing it all out of a central location. So all of the US Open Cup games are being broadcast out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So what you ended up happening here is that Vista chose Max Bretos, who is an ESPN talent, to announce this game. And as you can imagine, whenever an LAFC employee is put in charge of a home game for the LA Galaxy, things probably weren't as kosher as everything was supposed to be, right? Like if you're the LA Galaxy, you're sitting there going, wait a minute, you want an LAFC employee to call our home game. It's our US Open Cup, which by the way, the LA Galaxy offered up Joe Tutino and Kobe Jones for free. They said, we'll let them do it. We'll pay them to do this game for us because it's our home game. And Vista was like, nah, that's okay. So that's the first thing that happened here, was basically Max Bretos was supposed to do this and he was going to do it by himself. And the Galaxy were like, no, I don't think, I don't think our head coach is going to feel real good about telling all the secrets of what they're trying to do with their lineup to an LAFC employee, right? We can understand the consternation in this. So eventually, and I will say this, credit to Chris Klein, got on the phone with U.S. Soccer, got on the phone with the ESPN guys, got on the phone and was sort of able to do this stuff.
Chris Klein did something?
I want to give credit. Shot. It is, but I understand, but this is credit where credit is due. Chris Klein got on there and basically they made Joe happen. They made this dual booth happen. So it was not going to be that way. And then it was a dual booth with Joe Tutino and Max Bretos in it. And they literally both of them probably could have driven to the stadium in like 20 minutes. Not Joe's actually lives down in San Diego and drives up, but let's just pretend like, he's close enough that he could drive to a stadium in 20 minutes. Instead, he had to hop on a flight, and Max had to hop on a flight, and they had to fly all the way to Florida in Fort Lauderdale, and they called that game from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, instead of at the stadium where it should have been. Just wanted to point that out.
So they paid for two local guys. They paid for flights.
The Galaxy paid for all of like Joe's expenses basically for this, and that's not they're not going to get that reimbursed, right?
No, of course not. Hotels, everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Part of the modern game infuriates me and drives me up the wall. At what point does common sense prevail or not prevail, and you just have them both in the booth at the home stadium? Like, I don't understand that at all. Crazy. So Max posted a picture of him and Joe, and I was like, oh man, I love this. I kind of think it's kind of cool that they're together.
Right.
I did not know this backdrop to the story.
Listen,
that is some juice.
I just wanted everybody to know. The only reason I really bring this up is that there is a TV contract up in MLS. We know that. It sounds like, and this... Listen, there's no confirming any of this stuff. All I hear is rumors. But the rumor right now is that Apple TV might get this. Okay, so which is fine. That's cool. I don't care. Like, I don't. Good
thing. Would that be a good thing?
I think so. No? I think it's fine. I think it's Apple TV, Amazon, ESPN Plus. Whoever gets it is going to get it. And it's a streaming service, and we're all going to have to get it if you want to watch your teams and if you want to watch the rest of the league. But it sounds like they're putting it together. like this. So I'm not going to complain about that. But what I am saying is the model for that could very well be something like this, which is having off-site announcers, having a place where all the announcers call the games from every single day, and it doesn't matter where they are, and they're not traveling with the teams for away games, and they're not at the home stadium for the home. That is a model that is out there. And so this very well could be something we're seeing, and I think you lose a ton if you do that. Plus, let's look at Joe Tutino and Kobe Jones. They're employees basically of the LA Galaxy whenever they do this announcing. And if somebody else is producing that, do Joe and Kobe and people like Nikki K, who works for Spectrum, right? And a whole deal. Do they still have jobs next year? That's a question too, because how is the production going to go? Imagine that the LA Galaxy have Joe Tutino for all these years, and I know he wasn't the play-by-play voice every year. But imagine that you lose that. You're going to lose a connection with the fans if that happens too. So,
yeah, I mean, and of course, you know, one of the things I've loved about American sports is the local broadcasting, you know, voice. And I think that's been really important in the history of American sports. The truth is exactly what you said with international broadcasters like beIN, ESPN. You know, a lot of the times when you're doing a Europa League or Champions League game and you're not taking the feed from those markets, you know, you've got people in a studio calling the match.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it is and has been happening for a little while now.
Yeah. So it's more just hey, this might be something you see down the road. And maybe it's not something that you think is a great idea or not. And
not at local level, though. I don't think so. Not, you know, I understand international broadcasting with certain competitions, but there's no reason, is there really, for an LA Galaxy, LAFC game to be called, you know, 4 hours on a flight time zone type, 3 hours plus.
Yeah.
I just don't get that.
Patrick says that he expects that Joe and Kobe are going to turn over the game calling duties to you and I. We're going to be the new play-by-play.
Oh,
you think you can be analyst? Are you a color gal over there? Can you handle the color?
I would have to be the color.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
You would be Joe. I'd be Kobe.
This white guy over here can't handle the color for sure. So I think I could do play-by-play. So, but no, Joe and Kobe and Nikki does a great job too. They're all great. So we'll see. I just wanted to bring that in. I wanted to give the whole story. It's hard to tweet about the whole thing and discuss it, and so this is the full story. And I think the Galaxy did everything in their power to make sure that they at least had a representative in that booth, and at some point it didn't look like maybe that was the case. So at their expense, I think they did the right thing. So, all right,
cool.
Back to the game. So 3-1, LA Galaxy get a starting lineup here: Chicharito, Grandsir, Victor Vasquez, Kevin Cabral, Mark Delgado, Ryan Raveloson, Raheem Edwards, Derek Williams, Nick DePuy, Julian Araujo, and Jonathan Klinsmann. So Jonathan Klinsmann starts for Jonathan Bond. Surprised? Not surprised.
No, I don't think so.
Open Cup.
I think it's good. I think it's good for him to get a run in fact, you know, like in Europe, you've got the League Cup goalkeeper, you've got an FA Cup goalkeeper now. Yep. It wouldn't bother me if he was the goalkeeper in the Open Cup. Would it bother you?
No, doesn't bother me. That's one of the things too. There's two sides to this though, and I think that's important to sort of look at. Jonathan Klinsmann starting Open Cup, so that's fine. You're like, okay, Open Cup makes some sense. Or Jonathan Bond hasn't been playing that well, which he hasn't. He has not had a good stretch of games probably over the last 3 or 4 games. We've mentioned it on the podcast before. It's not a surprise. And so this is also a warning to him, which is you need to play better.
Yeah.
I think Klinsmann was largely untested and did just fine. Some of his distribution was a little, hey, listen, Jonathan Bond's distribution ain't great either. So sometimes distribution hurts both of those guys, but I thought Jonathan Klinsmann did perfectly fine, no problems. The other thing, Nick DePuy starting in place of Sega Coulibaly. Let's update on Sega Coulibaly and his injury. Now, they're supposed to be training tomorrow. I think Damien's going to be there for sure. I don't know who else is going to be there. Damien and I were texting before this, back and forth. So let me clarify what Greg has said about Sega Coulibaly, because he got injured in the Houston game, had to come out. Greg, at the last media availability, said we were worried because I think we thought it was an ACL or an MCI. They thought it was a ligament issue, and apparently that got scanned and it wasn't. But he followed that up with, we don't know what the severity is. We're still trying to figure out exactly what's wrong, and that it doesn't mean he doesn't need surgery. Okay, so keep that all in mind. I think Sega Coulibaly is at least out until after the break. I mean, that seems no-brainerish, right? So the Galaxy have 20 days off once they play Austin. So he's at least that. Sasha Kleshin, hip flexor, we know about that. Eric Zavaleta, groin, we know about that. Douglas Costa had a quadricep? Was that what it was? I can't remember because I tweeted it and I was like, oh, what's the problem? I'll look it up because I know. Vicky
is that am I going to have to eat crow on that one a little bit? That's Big Ben in the background, by the way. You guys can't control that.
Did you get a new clock? Because
no, I usually switch it off. We usually switch it off when I'm doing a live show, and I think it just skipped the jet lagged mind today.
Okay.
But yes, that is Big Ben. Comes in very handy New Year's Eve. And yes, Douglas Costa, I vouched. I put my neck on the line saying he's. Well, technically, on paper, he is one of, if not the best player, is what I said.
Yes.
And that don't fear everyone. He's going to be great. And,
right.
Humble pie might be baking for me at the end of the season.
We'll see. I mean, yeah, it's trending that way, but we'll see. Left thigh. So could be a quad, but left thigh was his injury. So he has that there. So he missed out, which is good. Because I think he would have ruined a lot of things for the LA Galaxy if he was out there, which is horrible because that's a huge problem for the Galaxy if a designated player that you're paying $3 million a year is a guy who you'd rather not be involved in the game. And I think in this game, that is the case. I think you would rather him not be involved in this game. He's not fast enough to play the way that Grandsir and Cabral were playing. And it was funny because I think they played this formation against Dallas or it was against Minnesota. I can't remember. And it didn't work. And I was like, but this is the formation. I like this. I like Grandsir on one side. I like Cabral on the other side. I like these guys running with Chicha. It has a lot of things that I think the Galaxy could do well. And it didn't work against Dallas because Dallas sat back. If LAFC wanted to beat the LA Galaxy, all they had to do was come and sit back against the LA Galaxy and then just play on the counter. And
yeah, they can't play like that though.
I think pride gets in the way of a lot of teams whenever it comes to that, right? It's like, no, we're gonna impose our will. I think that's been the biggest thing with LAFC at Dignity Health Sports Park is that they have tried to they keep thinking they're the home team for some reason, and they think that they're gonna have like the bulk of the possession and they're gonna dominate and they're gonna do all these things. And the Galaxy have always been like, no, that's not gonna happen. And I said that on Monday, the reason the Galaxy have been so successful at home is because they're willing to suffer more than LAFC. And Carlos Vela came out in the 21st minute of this game with something that maybe he had an injury, like he started to feel something and he
didn't even look like he was hurt, to be honest. And I'm not making an accusation. It just didn't. It felt like it came out of nowhere.
It did.
I guess is where I'm coming from.
Apparently, the collision with Raheem Edwards very early on, he like maybe felt something. Yeah. Raheem Edwards, the Tank. Is that his new nickname, the Tank?
I'm thinking I was going to give him this nickname.
Okay. His nickname is Raw, by the way. I'm not allowed to call him that because that's way too cool for me to say. It was just interesting. But when you have a leader who has now multiple times come out of a game, out of these El Traficos because of possible injuries, it leaves the question about who's willing to suffer more, right? Can you see anybody pulling Chicharito off the field if he was injured? Like, he would be like, I don't care if my ankle's broken, I'm going to stay up. Same with Zlatan, right? If Zlatan didn't have an ACL, wait, did he play without an ACL or an MCL? I can't remember. He just put a post up. He was like, oh, I've been playing without an MCL for 6 months. Of course he did.
And he's going to be out for months now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but I mean, he has a trophy. Right?
I mean, what a moment that was seeing. Sorry to
it's fine.
Digress a little bit, but man, what a dude. How lucky were we to have him here and to cover him.
It was fun.
It was so much fun. But yeah, listen, I was talking to Gio last night and when Vela come out and I said, Chicharito has the upper hand in these games. I know they haven't faced each other a lot and they both scored and it was like a heavyweight fight, wasn't it? The last game at LA Galaxy's place. But when you look at the willing to throw your body on the line, captain your team and really put your team on your back and show true leadership, I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that Chicharito wins those stakes. Which
is crazy because before that it was Zlatan who was willing to throw everything on the line and willing to lead. And it's like that's an interesting component to this whole thing of this mental block, this softness that LAFC has whenever they come in to play the LA Galaxy. I think it is the most interesting psychological experiment that gets played over and over again. And every year I'm always like, this is the year they figure it out. Like, no team, this is my roulette thing, right? It can't keep coming up black, Sophie. Eventually it hits red. We all know this, right? And that's my argument. And then you look at it again and you're like, no, it's apparently it does. Apparently it just keeps coming up.
Do you remember the Zlatan playoff, the 5-3? 5-3. Do you remember? Was it
5-3 or 5-2?
5-3 or 5-2?
5-2 and then 6-3 at the MLS's back tournament, something like that. Yeah.
So that game played, a playoff game like that played at LA Galaxy is a totally different game.
Yeah.
Last night's game played at theirs is a totally different game. You are 100 gazillion% correct about the psychological factor of them playing at home. And I think it's going to carry on for a while. Once these things happen in sports, they carry on and they become a thing, and it is definitely a thing. So I think LA Galaxy fans should be stoked that the draw came out and they got to play at home.
5-3, by the way. The chat room is correcting
it was 5-3,
me. So you were correct. I was incorrect. Good job. Yeah, I know. Another point for you. Quickly, looking at the lineup for the LA Galaxy. Chicharito, great game. Worked his butt off back and forth, right? If we're going rapid fire, Chicha played just fine. That's exactly what we wanted to see. That's how you wanted to see him play. Sam Grandsir, probably the man of the match, had 2 assists, or at least part of the assists on some of that as well. Played extremely well. That was it. Victor Vasquez. He was a chance creator from the very beginning. He found pockets against LAFC. He was so good in just creating chances and keeping the ball flowing and keeping the ball going. And when he came out, I was worried there was going to be a drop-off. Efrain Alvarez came in and picked up right where Victor Vasquez left off. And if the Galaxy can do that, they figured out a lineup they want to play. Kevin Cabral, his best game as an LA Galaxy player. Flat out. His defensive recoveries, his offensive recoveries, his offensive movement, his willingness to go forward and back. Chicharito was amazing after this game. I don't know. See, Kevin Cabral talked to us, so that's going to get a lot of the focus, right? And I was so nervous. I usually don't get nervous, but they're like, "Hey, Kevin's going to come," and they're like, "Just speak very slowly, and he will. He knows enough English. He will figure it out." And I do really poorly at speaking slowly. And in my mind, I think I speak slowly, like that everybody can hear me all the time. And I rattle off like crazy. Like I have pretty high speed talk. So
yeah,
I'm getting ready to talk to Kevin, and I'm like, okay, you have to slow down this time. And if you listen to me whenever I talk to Kevin, it's very deliberate because I want him to understand. It's not, I don't think he's somebody's, I was like, man, are you treating him like he's stupid? No, I'm just treating him so he can understand English because this is not his thing, right? And he was great, just his answers that he had. And just the way, you have to go watch the video. It will make you feel so good about Kevin Cabral and what kind of personality. He's just a shy kid. He's a little baby, right? I felt terrible because the things I was saying before. Yeah. I know. Mean, but it's I'm not talking about before, during the game, like about when is he going to step up? When is he going to show the faith that Greg has put in him? When is he going to perform consistently? When is he going to start leading from the front? When? Yep. And tonight. And listen, it's one. Let's be very clear. That's one game. But Chicharito said something afterwards. And in classic Chicharito form, it means more than just what's going on in the soccer field and everything else. But he was talking about the focus and the dedication to a single cause, right? And so he was talking about, this is why we envy professional athletes, is because of their hard work, their ability to focus, and then their ability to execute with the skills that they have. He goes, when all that stuff happens, the result, the consequences, he used the word consequences, the consequences are goals. The consequences are good games. The consequences are wins in the biggest moments. And that is true of every single player on this team in this game. Even Nick DePuy, who possibly had the worst game ever in the history of worst games whenever he played against Houston, was just dribbled through, dribbled around, passed, cut off, everything that was wrong with the defense. Nick DePuy was probably the reason it was wrong on that particular. Sega even coming over and getting injured is probably Nick DePuy's fault because he let a guy get through and Sega had to come over and close him down. And Sega was clearly shading to Nick DePuy's side. all those things being said, Nick DePuy played absolutely fine in this game. There was zero to worry about. Even though everybody was worried, there was zero to worry about the entire game. He actually did pretty good. The cross that came out was a broken play, and he came out to try to stop that. Maybe he stays home. That makes it a little bit better. But Nick DePuy was fine. Everybody who played Sophie on this field played absolutely perfectly. That they needed to.
Another player who I'd ripped quite a bit, Nick DePuy. There's no doubt about it. And like I said at the top of the show, I don't think you can pick holes and criticize too much. I actually have and Cabral has to do this consistently. Mm-hmm. For everyone to kind of really get on board. It's okay getting excited about one game, and of course, when it's against your rival, you jump on that bandwagon. But he has to do this more often, and then he could be lauded even furthermore. I have a different man of the match to you.
Okay, so
the tank is mine.
Okay, so you're going to take Raheem Edwards, and by the way, Raheem was wonderful, getting up and down.
What a player he is.
Great defensive moves that he had, but really his offensive ability. You know what it is for him? It's the engine. And I know that people you're not, but it is his engine. I will not quit running. I will not give up. I will keep going. There is no play in which I will not run and chase this ball. There is no guy who's too far ahead of me. There is no ball that I can't get to. That mentality makes up for some of his shortcomings. And I think defensively he has some shortcomings, but
he's showing Araujo how to kind of get back into the groove a little bit. And he reminds me of, I told him this in a presser once, but Ashley Cole at Chelsea and Arsenal, he's playing exactly that way. And can I say also that did Chicharito's post-game interview after the 3-0 loss get to his teammates? Because that was a rallying cry.
It was. Yeah, and we talked about that on the show too, right? It was Mark Delgado was scheduled to talk for Chicha. What was scheduled to talk in that, and Chicharito asked who was talking, and they said, "Oh, Mark's going to do it." And he's like, "No, I'm going to do it." And he took that up. That was him. He went to the microphone. I even talked to Nikki about it just to make sure. And she's like, I requested Mark because Chicha had come in and only played the last 30 minutes of that game. Normally we don't talk to substitutes unless there's a reason to, and there would be no reason really to ask for Chicharito. But in this case, he was like, no, I'm going to talk. I'm going to take this moment.
That's another thing that Vela doesn't do as much.
Yeah, he did talk after this game, by the way, which was everybody was shocked that he spoke after this game.
Right. But he doesn't and hasn't done it as often. And when he's supposed to kind of come forward as the captain and be accountable, I'm not trying to knock him, but it's, press isn't one of his favorite things to do, is it?
No.
I think one of the things I respect about Chicharito is that he grew into it.
Is that press isn't one of the favorite things for him to do either, but he does
into it. He grew into it more. And I think the PR team have also made him understand that it's important because, let's all be honest, he's the one that people want to hear from the most.
Yeah, it is. There's that's interesting. I love you, Raheem Edwards. That's fine. I'm going to tell you who somebody, if you want to talk about the dark horse man of the match in this game, you could say it was Mark Delgado as well. The amount of link-up passes that he had, the amount of plays in which he inserted himself into and made it a central part, his distribution, his calming, his plugging the lanes. Ryan Raveloson, who hasn't played very well, played very good off of Delgado in this game. This is the game where the midfield dominated another midfield, and Mark Delgado and Ryan Raveloson did that together. Delgado was really good in link-up play, maybe a little bit further advanced than maybe we've seen him in games past, a little bit higher up, but they were also getting that room. LAFC was giving them that room, Delgado's distribution in and around. It's not always going to be home runs, home run balls like the David Beckham balls, right? What is it? What do they used to call them? Like the Superman balls or whatever, where you're going to switch the field and have it go 80 yards and stuff.
Well, sweeping balls, right?
The Hollywood balls. That's what it is. The Hollywood balls, right? The ones that show that, oh man, look at that. And he hit some amazing ones. There was a outside of the right foot ball that hooked across the field and hit Landon Donovan perfectly in stride that I still see in my very naughty dreams. This is what happens when you get tired. All right.
Oh God.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to. There's so many things going on in my mind, and I'm doing well not swearing so far today. Yeah, so we're good here. I'm just going to skip that moment.
The sweep of the leg, the ball, the shape, everything. So good. Anyway, So it's not always going to be like that for Delgado, right? He's smart and simple. I thought the Galaxy played under pressure well. They do this against LAFC, though. I've seen this team play well under a press that LAFC provides, and they've done this before. So the only other person I want to mention before we get too far, and we talked about, is Joveljic, because he came into this game as a substitute, as a direct replacement for Chicha, right? Which I like. That switch, I know some people are going to be like, they need to play together. Not in this game. Certainly not in this. This was the perfect time to bring Joveljic in to do these things. And Joveljic ended up creating 3 chances in the amount of minutes that he had. That is the role you want to see him in right there. End of game, scoring goals. The goal he scored is gorgeous. Good. Somebody likened it to tiki-taka football, and we have not talked about tiki-taka football in a long, long time at LA Galaxy land. 2014, 2015 was tiki-taka. 2012 was tiki-taka. We haven't seen this.
Did you say taco?
Yes.
Or do you mean
yes.
taka?
No.
Tiki-taka.
It's taco. It's tiki-taka.
I just want to make sure everyone is, because they know, right? They
right,
know.
They should. I mean, that was coined under Bruce Arena. It wasn't tiki-taka, right? Because that's very much Barcelona,
it's so
right?
Classic, though.
It is tiki-taka because it's the LA version of it, and everything else.
I just want to make sure that no one comes at you in chat if they weren't aware of.
I said a word which I will not attempt to recruit. I will not say, because it's a word I cannot say correctly. Every time I try to say it, and I got blasted for it on Monday's show, and rightfully so, by the way.
Really?
Oh yeah, and I'm not going to say it again. Everybody knows it's the G word, and everybody knows what it is, and they will start saying it in the chat room. But I will not say it because I refuse to be made fun of for that anymore. I'm just not going to say it anymore. It is excluded from my vocabulary. If somebody else says it, great. I know what they're saying. That's fine. You'll never hear that word ever come out of my mouth ever again. That's how I'm not going to go there.
Am I missing something? I'm not sure. They'll have to let me know so I can just read it.
Yeah, they'll do it. By the way, $2 super chat from Christian, and Christian says, Luka Modric watches Mark Delgado highlights. I'm sure that's the case. So, but anyway, Joveljic being in the position that he was and scoring the goals and doing the things, it was great. Now, brouhaha, fisticuffs, extracurricular activities after the whistle, extracurricular activities during the game. 2 things that I want to talk about briefly, and then we will move on, getting ready for Austin, and tell you what all's going on with the U.S. Open Cup as well. The Chicha undercut play that happened in the first half that had, I think it was Palacios who got injured in that play, and he landed awkwardly, and it looked bad. It looked like we were hoping that I think he landed on his landing. Yeah, I think we were hoping he was going to land on his shoulders. Instead, I think he landed like shoulders to neck, and so it just didn't look good. Chicha undercut him, yes. Chicha had every right to be there for the ball too. So I am not one who's going to say that that's a dirty play. I think Palacios knew that he was jumping into a guy who was not going to be jumping up up for that ball. So I think he knew that there was going to be contact there, and everybody hit it. Murillo came in, $2 super chat from because they're trying to get me to say the G word. I'm not going to do it.
I'm just having a little giggle because I've not heard. I may have heard you say it before, but
I'm not doing it.
A bit of a memory lapse here.
I can say Awalahense very easily, right? But this word, no. So anyway, so there was that. That got tempers flared a little bit. Chicha got hit in the back of the head, and I think it was by Murillo who came in afterwards. And Murillo,
so nasty.
Yeah, Murillo hit him, punched him in the back of the head, and the referees all missed it. Murillo didn't get a yellow card. He didn't get anything. Mark Delgado got a yellow card for pushing Murillo afterwards. If VAR is around, LAFC is playing down a man. Now the LA Galaxy may have been playing down a man as well, because Delgado was already on a yellow card whenever he did that. So maybe that's one of those things where you look at and you say, okay, that wasn't the smartest thing to have happen. But bottom line is there should have been a red card there. $15 from Esteban.
Come on, you gotta say
it says say the word, Josh.
Super chat.
It says say the word, Josh. It doesn't tell me what word to say.
Go on.
Golasso? No? Was it close? Was it? Dude, you should see how they're giving me phonetic spellings in the chat room, trying me to say it, and there are some. I'm not. That's it. Anyway, so
very cool of you to say it.
I tried. Well, for $15, I'll pretty much say everything. So I mean, really, let's be honest. I've told everybody before I'm an absolute sellout. And so really this body is for sale, right? Whenever
Some
we
serious nugget money right there.
That's right. No, it's one box of nuggets. That's the problem. But anyway, so everybody's cracking up. The boo, beautiful. Oh yeah. Did I get it? Was it okay? I did get it,
Yeah,
but
it was.
But I do not remember how to say it. So it's not like I learned anything from this. So anyway, so that was one thing. Then there's the extracurriculars that happen after the whistle. I love this.
I loved it.
I like it. I like it from an LA Galaxy perspective from two things. One, you just embarrassed LAFC, and instead of tucking their tail between their legs and walking off the pitch, which is what they should have done, they kept jawing, they kept yapping, people kept pushing, shoving, and then eventually listen, there are punches thrown. There are pushes made. There are red cards all over this field, and nothing happens. And Sophie, the best part about it is asking every single player what happened after. So what happened after this game? What? Greg Vanny. Oh, you know what? I didn't really see anything. I was just trying to congratulate players, and then I was trying to get players off the field. I don't know what happened. Raheem Edwards, who is in the center of the brouhaha, is like, I didn't see anything. I don't know. So the whole thing, you're like, okay.
I loved it. It was so cool and old school, and even better, the interviews after were just as cool, because that's what happened back in the day. My show with Super Kev, he talks about things like that all the time, and it's like I didn't see anything. I don't know. It just felt real vintage kind of rivalry football stuff and shenanigans. A little bit more than just handbags at dawn. It was real. Get your teeth stuck in, son, and protect your teammates. It was great.
I mean, Delgado was there in there. Derek Williams wanted to fight.
All in there.
Derek Williams wanted to fight every LAFC player, and he was like, "Let's go to the tunnel." Like, he's literally like, "Let's go right now. I'm going to go. You should follow me, and we will fight when we get there. You follow me right now. We will fight when we get in the tunnel." I love the clear-headedness of fighters, of people who want to fight. Sometimes it's like, listen, we're going to do something very complicated. I want you to listen to me. We're going to communicate right now. We're going to work on something, but we're going to go over here so that way we can fight. I don't want to fight out here. I want to fight over there. So follow me. Let's go. And then we will fight.
Did you see also, before the final whistle went, did you see what Ephra did with his shirt and the badge?
Yep, he was holding up. I mean, the whole thing, the whole reason this even stops. By the way, Brian Rodriguez, I have video of it, or I've seen the video of it, absolutely destroys a tripod. Like, he's walking by a tripod. The tripod's just sitting there. It's not doing anybody any harm. He kicks it and the leg flies off and the whole deal.
Brilliant.
The amount of saltiness that came from this. And listen, I had heard that the reason this whole thing started, and take this with a grain of salt because it's certainly a rumor, and certainly from the people I would hear it from, it would definitely be in favor of the LA Galaxy, right? The Galaxy never did anything, right? It was one of those. Is that an LAFC player spit on an LA Galaxy player. And that's what started this. And a coach saw it, and it went off. That was it. Clearly something happened because they were very, very angry.
Well, it was already salty.
Yeah,
so
right.
When you add something so unsavory and distasteful like that into the mix, no one's going to back down, especially after both teams felt like they had decisions that didn't go their way. But I also thought at the end of it, I think it was Araujo who was trying to move things along, and he went over to the fans.
Yep.
And then I don't know who it was, but the LAFC players started walking off, and the Galaxy player is waving. And a couple of them start waving to them.
Bye. Get on the bus. Get on the bus.
It's just absolute gold. I love this rivalry. Is legit no matter who is playing, Josh.
It's fun, and this is U.S. Open Cup. I mean, so the argument, at least going into this, was the one knockout game these two teams have played was in the playoffs, and LAFC had won that one, right? Now you get in a knockout round, the LA Galaxy eliminate LAFC. And they can pretend that it's just the U.S. Open Cup, but they wanted to beat the LA Galaxy more than anything else in that, in this month. There's nothing else they wanted. And they couldn't even approach that. At no point did they look like they were going to win that game. And that has to be disheartening because they came into that saying, we are going to go ahead and this is going to be our time. I'm sure they talked about it in the locker room. This is our time. This is the way. And you know what? They didn't mean it. And you can see when they play, they don't mean it. And when Raheem Edwards goes out there and he's throwing bulletin board material up there saying that he wants to, and I'll keep it G, tick off the 32-52. What is up with that, by the way? can we just dissect that just for a second? Why is Raheem Edwards very much giant chip on his shoulder that he does not like LAFC? He's willing to tell any secrets about anything that happened there, and he goes after the fans. He goes, it like most people would avoid. Most people would be like, hey, I don't like the club, but the fans are always great and the whole deal. What happened between Raheem Edwards and their fans? Something. And by the way, Raheem Edwards.
Well, maybe it's just not even the fans. Maybe it's the club.
It very well could be all those things, but something's there. There's a chip, and we should point out Raheem Edwards was subject to racial abuse before this game on social media. We saw it. I was part of it. I saw it there. I reported it. The LA Galaxy saw it. People knew what was going on, right? So that's how quickly that has all turned about. And then, he just garnered the again. Raheem Edwards. I mean, to put the bulletin board material out there and then to back it up. He's
slowly becoming a leader in this team. He's showing some, kind of, I think, traits of, not saying maybe captain material one day if his form continues and stuff like that. But, he's really inserted himself and made himself a hugely valuable part of this squad. Like if he's not starting, it's like, it's not cool.
Right. It's a drop off. There's a drop off there. So what happens now? Well, in the greatest of draws, we told you whenever this draw happened that the LA Galaxy having the H1 spot, which is what it ended up being, and LAFC having the A1, which is home one and away one spot, meant that the winner of this game would host the next game as well. So the LA Galaxy now get to host this game, and they hosted the winner between the San Jose Earthquakes and Sacramento Republic. Now, I think if Sacramento Republic was the home team in this game, and I think if you're a betting man, you would say even the San Jose Earthquakes, who have been fairly horrible, still should probably best a USL championship team. And Sacramento Republic beat them rather handedly 2-0. And so the LA Galaxy now will host Sacramento Republic. Todd Donovan is the president at Sacramento Republic, former LA Galaxy player, so he'll be coming down. And so that is what is happening. The Galaxy will host Sacramento Republic. Now, I've seen some charts that show that the home and away has already been picked all the way through this. And if that's the case, the LA Galaxy, if they would get past Sacramento Republic, Sophie, would then play the winner of Sporting Kansas City and Union Omaha. Union Omaha took down Minnesota United in a game 2-1, in which Minnesota's afterwards said it was embarrassing and that they need to do better and blah, 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 the whole deal and everything everybody says whenever they lose to a lower division. Don't look past Sacramento Republic, but the LA Galaxy would face the winner of Sporting Kansas City, who's doing okay in the Open Cup, and Union Omaha. The path for the LA Galaxy to get to the championship game is now 2 games away. So 3 games, I think, away from being in the championship. That's it.
Be awesome.
So you are talking now of something where, hey, it would be nice to win, Sophie, and it's something that you pay attention to, but it's not necessarily something that you prioritize. To looking at this and saying, we are prioritizing this tournament, especially if you get past Sacramento. Then you're going to be rotating out of league games sometimes in order to prioritize trying to win this. Because I've always said this whole tournament is more about who gets home games, Sophie, than anything else. And the LA Galaxy's away game that they have played so far was away to Cal United. That was the away game. So they're probably going to have one. In a best case scenario, they probably have one away game still with these last 3 games. And we know that one of those is already a home game. So it's important. Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, the rivalry game, I feel like there's a bit more attention on the US Open Cup this season, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I come from a country where the FA Cup has been played for like 200 years. I may be exaggerating a little bit, but maybe 180.
It's 100 plus years. So the history, the 100th year wasn't that long ago. Yeah, it is.
And this is a really special competition, and I love how it, it's a great showcase for young players, for periphery players. I think the big game last night added another, spotlight to US Open Cup. And this LA Galaxy team, to taste victory, to breed a winning culture, to be part of something like that, I think it would be absolutely epic if they went on to win it and take it seriously as they go through it as well. The squad is deep enough to be able to handle
Yes.
An extra away game, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see any reason why the Galaxy can't go out and quite honestly be in the final. The final seems to be something that is easily attainable. Last teams in it, we talked about it, LA Galaxy, Sacramento. It's New York Red Bulls versus New York City. So you have a New York derby there. On the East Coast, you have Kansas City versus Omaha, Union Omaha. That game's coming up, and obviously the LA Galaxy would face the winner of that should the LA Galaxy get past Sacramento. And then you have Orlando and Nashville. Orlando hosting that game. So the big deal here is that the LA Galaxy will be the first team. The LA Galaxy and Sacramento Republic will be the first teams to play out of all these teams. So it's they're playing on June 21st. Everybody else is playing on June 22nd. I think with the LA Galaxy's calendar, that actually works just fine whenever you look at it. So it's a home game for the LA Galaxy. Should work relatively well. And so the LA Galaxy will get a chance to do that June 21st, 2022. It's a 7:30 p.m. Start time / kickoff time. It's usually right around there. 7:33 will be kickoff time. And if you are a season ticket member, you get free tickets to this game. Congratulations. So after the break basically comes out, and we've talked about this. Galaxy have one more game against Austin coming up on Sunday. We're going to talk about that here in a second. And then you have the LA Galaxy not playing until they host Portland on June 18th. So it'll be Portland at home. It will be the LA Galaxy at home versus Sacramento Republic in the Open Cup on the 21st. And then 4 days later, the Galaxy will have to fly up to San Jose in order to take on San Jose in another regular season game. So that's the June schedule. And then rounding that out, the LA Galaxy will host Minnesota United. All winnable games.
Remind me why there's a gap again?
International break. International break. And speaking of internationals, at least right now, we know that Raheem Edwards has been called to the Canadian national team. So that's a return to him to the Canadian national team. He's been playing excellent. So Raheem Edwards gets called into Canada. And Efrain Alvarez so far has been called into the Mexican national team, but at the U21 level. So not the full team, but at the U21 level. So keep that in mind.
These are just friendlies though, right?
Yeah, World Cup preparations now though, right? Everybody knows they're going, so it's a little more important. I think Canada canceled a game with Iran, and Iran now is going to sue them for like $10 million. It's really fun. It's some good times. So if you're going to want to watch all of that funness, you're more than welcome to. Real quick in the standings, LA Galaxy sitting in 5th place. Obviously, the win over LAFC doesn't help in terms of regular standings, but advances in the U.S. Open Cup tournament, so that's good. Galaxy in 5th place with 20 points. LAFC in 1st place with 26 points. The Galaxy's second time that they beat the Supporters Shield leader at the top of that in this season. So now the Galaxy have a chance at a sweep, Soph. Unless these two teams meet in the playoffs, there's only one more game that they will meet at, and that will be in July whenever they take on LAFC. So something to keep in mind on. A sweep could be in order for the LA Galaxy. Just win one more game, a clean sweep in the regular season and Open Cup, and then if that happens, I have a feeling these two teams are going to the playoffs, and that you'll probably see them play against each other in the playoffs too. So we'll see if that happens.
You'll have to do a little broom as a merch piece if that happens.
That's not a bad idea. Just Supporter Shield as it all goes. LAFC, Austin, Philadelphia, New York City, Dallas, Salt Lake, Orlando, Montreal, and then LA in 9th place. Let's get talking about this game against Austin FC. It's coming up on Sunday, May 29th. It is a 3 p.m. This time got moved. Just want to give you a heads up. Your tickets may say 1. Some people's AXS account still say 1 p.m., but the game is at 3 p.m. I'm going to tell you something that I rarely tell you. The game is scheduled to kick off at 3:01 p.m. I double-checked that today, by the way, because rarely does it kick off 1 minute after they say it's going to start. So kick off 3:01 p.m., which means you need to be in your seat by 3 p.m. because it's going to kick off fairly rapidly. So 3:01 p.m. is the kickoff. This game can be found on Univision, TUDNA, and of course on Twitter, game at Dignity Health Sports Park. And Austin is a good team. The Galaxy beat them on the road, though, just coming off of a early May game. Galaxy 1-0 over Austin in Austin. If you go back, the last time these two teams played, they've only played 3 times. Let's be very clear. Only played 3 times. Galaxy 2 wins, 0 draws, 1 loss there. Last time they played in LA, it was in 2021, May 15th, and the LA Galaxy were 2-0 winners over Austin. But this is a different Austin team, Sophie. This is a better Austin team so far. What have you seen from this Austin team? Are you feeling like this is a tough test?
Well, I think they've done pretty well coming into the league. Of course, first season's going to be tough. They've done a decent job so far this season. A couple of signature wins. if there's one thing that they have behind them is an incredible fan base. They're very passionate. I think that we'll see over the next couple of seasons, they'll build their squad a little bit, stronger, invest perhaps in a couple of, I don't think they're the type of team, Josh, that are going to be shy to want to bring in a couple of big name DP players. And I think players will want to go play there. Of course, you've got the attraction of the ownership as well. It's a great location to play in, good lifestyle. But I think that this season so far, they've done a decent job for such a young team that's joined Major League Soccer. This is a banana skin game. LA Galaxy, can't go into this feeling arrogant after beating LAFC. It's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be easy. And again, they've got to kind of try and string some back-to-back wins together, build some consistency and some confidence going forward. It's great. The Open Cup win is brilliant, but 3 points, especially ahead of a big break as well, is going to be really important. You want to go off into the international break sunset with 3 points in the bag.
Yeah, if we look at Austin's recent form, last 4, they have 2 losses, 1 win, and a draw. The draw is really interesting because I watched some of the highlights from that, and this was against an Orlando team. It was a 2-2 draw. The really fun part about this is that Orlando finished that game with 9 players, and it's not like they finished with 9 players at the 90th minute. They finished with 9 players with a considerable amount of time left in this game. So it was 2-0 early as Orlando went up early, and so it was a scramble from Austin. In fact, they scored in the 95th minute, so the 5th minute of stoppage time in order to tie this game up at a 2-2. But we know that Maxi Arudi and Driussi is one of the best players in Major League Soccer in terms of scoring goals. Arudi is great. Wolf and Fagundes are out there. Stuver at goalkeeper gave away some of these goals. Certainly, the first goal he gave away to Orlando was horrible. And so, if the Galaxy can pressure, I think they have a good chance. Austin is a team, Sophie, that will want to try to run with the LA Galaxy. It's a team that will want to try to play. I doubt that they sit back, even though that's probably their best chance at really beating the LA Galaxy at home is to sit and counter. And I think they're capable of doing it. So we'll see if head coach Josh Wolf sort of puts them in that thing. But the good news for the Galaxy is the Galaxy have struggled with teams that sit back and play in a low block, and they struggle to create. Austin, I don't think, can sit back in that low block as well. And so I think there will be room to run, which means there'll be room for the LA Galaxy to exploit space on. So much like LAFC, Austin does like to try to attack, and they try to play, good, quick attacking soccer. And I think that opens them up for some good opportunities from the LA Galaxy. But we also have to realize it was a tremendous amount of work for this team to play on a midweek. And so who's going to be available? How does Greg Vanney rotate, if he rotates at all, right? And then, like you said, Austin hasn't played in 7 days, basically, right? Their last game was on 5/22. So they've had some time off to rest, and now they're coming in here, and the LA Galaxy are going to be coming into this, I think, a much more tired team, although I'm sure they showed up to training this morning quite happy to be back and ready to go. So interesting game. I wouldn't say it's a trap game. I think the Galaxy know that they will play. I know you said banana peel game, and I agree with that. This is a game that you could see the Galaxy stumbling over just because of coming off of the emotions and everything. But one of the major takeaways that we got from all of the audio, and please go to cornerofthegalaxy.com, or you can go to our YouTube page. We have the full press conference for you. We do that because I don't think that it should just be for me and Sophie to hear and then us tell you what we think the players are saying. You should get to hear what the players say, and then you can tell us whether or not you think what they're saying is right. But they all were saying, and I can't remember who, I think maybe I asked Raheem this. I said, but they can't all be rivalry games, right? Like the whole deal. And he was like, no, they can't. And he goes, and we have to learn that, this is how we're supposed to play. This is how we're supposed to do things. And so this is the learning levels of the LA Galaxy, right? So if they learn how to beat somebody like LAFC at home, the highest possible. Greg Vanney said it was the best performance in the last 2 years. We've now seen the bar. We know what they're capable of. Every time they fail to meet that bar, it gets harder and harder for them to be sort of at ease with the fans. But certainly after 2 bad home losses to 2 Texas teams, and now getting a chance at the 3rd Texas team, maybe there's some some revenge coming for Austin. And Austin thinks, by the way, they're coming for revenge. They really didn't like the fact that they lost 1-0 in an ugly game. The Galaxy do that too. They make games ugly. So that's where I'm at. What do you think of this game? Where do you think the Galaxy are going to land?
Gosh,
this is a tough one, right?
Unpredictable,
Yeah,
right? Because you want to just go for the win, but gosh, they just remind me of Arsenal so much. It's ridiculous.
How dare you get your mouth off of this LA Galaxy team, please? Don't you Arsenal them. Go ahead.
Well, look, I'm back, so I'm going for another win. Let's keep the Sophie Juju train going here. 2-1 to LA Galaxy. I fancy it. What
probably happens is the LA Galaxy win this game, and nobody will let me ever come back from vacation. So I imagine that's what happens. I think this screams like 1-1 draw to me, or 2-2 draw, something like that, just because there's going to be tired legs. There's going to be a lot of things. I mean, that was an emotional, taxing, physical game. And, some extracurriculars afterwards. So who knows how everybody survived that as well. So anyway, I will say that it's a draw, and we'll leave it at that. And then I'm off on vacation. So everybody.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm leaving very quickly here. So no
you flying
shows
tonight?
No, tomorrow.
Okay.
But early. I have, I'll be up late packing, and then I'll get up early, and so it'll be a lot of fun. I'll say I'll sleep on the plane, but I have one kiddo that's 2, and then we're going to Colorado to pick up the second kiddo, and then fly all the way across to the East Coast. So there's very little chance Josh will be sleeping on any of these flights for the whole deal. So
swing by and pick me up while you're at it.
No. You just got back. You have to stay here. But that's what's going on. So you won't see me. There will be no show on Monday. There will be no show on Thursday. Likely no show the next Monday as well. I'm supposed to land that Monday and come back. And I'm guessing I will be tired from that day as well and won't want to podcast. But I have some things in the works. So whenever I get back, if everything goes well, I have some fun things that are going to happen with some interviews and some things. So let's see if we can make that happen and do all that. All right. Sophie, anything else that you want to touch on before we get out of here? Because I kind of want to go pack.
I wanted to say thank you so much for my Corner of the Galaxy shirt. I look really fly in it. And I'm going to take a pic and share it with everyone on Twitter as well. Always gracious and generous, Mr. Josh Guesman. And once again, thank you for having me, and keep smashing it. And enjoy your well-earned vacay, my friend.
I'm excited about it. Thank you, Sophie. Always great to have you back. I was excited to see you at the game, and I was glad. And I was like, being you're here, you get to be on the podcast tomorrow. So I'm glad that we got to hook up. And I'm glad you got your polo. It's good. I'm gonna definitely. I try to wear. I got 2 for me because I'm special. I got 2, so I try to wash them and wear them to games. That way I know what my name is because it says Josh on it. So I'm like, the way if I get lost, everybody goes, oh, there's Josh. Very cool. All right, let's get out of here. If you're looking, tell people where they can find you, Sophie. I was going to do it for you because I have to do it for Kevin, but I don't have to do it for you. Go.
It's all good. At Highbury Squad, across all social channels. Check us out if you love Premier League and a bit of world football, and at Soccer Diva on the Twitter sphere. Stay safe, everyone, and thanks so much for all the good comments in chat. You guys are awesome.
All right, if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at JGuesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast. Head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Our full press conferences are there. Our podcasts are there. Anything else that we write, the show's up there as well. So check that out. Subscribe to our YouTube. Subscribe to our podcast. Like, review, all that fun stuff. Please help us out. We certainly appreciate it. All right, I'm on vacation. Y'all have a wonderful time. Try to get along without me for a little bit. Whenever I get back, we'll pick this right back up where we left off. For Miss Sophie DeCannon Nicolaou, I'm Josh Pato Guesman. You've been listening. You've been watching Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast, and be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.